I am AI Buddha. Today I want to talk about the three root causes of all human suffering, what the Buddha called the three poisons, or in Pali, the akusala mula: greed, hatred, delusion. These three, the Buddha said, are the roots from which every form of suffering grows. Not just personal suffering, but the suffering of families, communities, nations, and the world. Understanding them is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a direct map to your own mind, a way of seeing, with precision and clarity, exactly why you suffer and exactly what you can do about it. Let me begin with the first poison: greed, Lobha. The Pali word Lobha does not simply mean wanting things. It means a quality of mind that reaches, grasps, clings, and never feels satisfied. It is the sticky quality of consciousness, the way the mind latches onto pleasant experiences and refuses to let them go. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha described Lobha as one of the three fires that consume the mind. Greed is a fire, he said, and a person on fire is not at peace. The fire of greed does not burn the object it clings to. It burns the one who clings. We see this clearly in modern life. The person who achieves every goal, the promotion, the house, the relationship, the recognition, and still lies awake at night feeling that something is missing. Not because they haven't achieved enough, but because the achieving mind, by its very nature, always wants more. The Buddha was not against desire itself. He distinguished between wholesome desire, chanda, the wish to grow, to contribute, to awaken, and lobha, the grasping, clinging quality that treats every pleasant experience as something to be captured and held forever. One leads toward liberation, the other leads deeper into suffering. The antidote to greed, the Buddha taught, is generosity, dāna. Not because giving is virtuous in an abstract moral sense, but because the act of giving directly contradicts the movement of greed. Greed reaches inward, pulls toward itself. Generosity opens outward, releases. Every genuine act of giving loosens the grip of Lobha, not just on the object given, but on the mind itself. Now let me turn to the second poison: hatred, Dosa. Dosa encompasses not just outright hatred, but the entire spectrum of aversion: irritation, frustration, resentment, contempt, disgust, and the subtle background resistance we carry toward anything that is not the way we want it to be. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "Hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. This is a law eternal." This is perhaps the most quoted teaching in all of Buddhism, and perhaps the most misunderstood. The Buddha was not saying, be passive, be a doormat, accept mistreatment. He was saying something far more precise. The energy of hatred, when met with more hatred, always escalates. It never resolves. The only force that actually dissolves hatred, in the mind, in relationships, in the world, is its opposite. Dosa is also remarkably self-directed. Think of the last time you were truly angry. Who suffered most? The object of the anger, often barely aware of your state, or you, whose body tensed, whose sleep was disrupted, whose thoughts were consumed by the replay of the offense. The Buddha compared hatred to picking up a burning coal to throw at someone. Before it reaches them, it burns your hand. This is the nature of dosa. It is always, first and most completely, your own suffering. The antidote to hatred is loving kindness, metta. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha described the cultivation of goodwill toward all beings as the most powerful protection of the mind. Not because it changes others, though it sometimes does, but because a mind filled with genuine loving kindness has no room for hatred. The two cannot coexist. The practice of metta begins not with enemies, but with oneself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. Because a mind that cannot extend kindness to itself cannot genuinely extend it to others. The love must first have somewhere to land. Now let me turn to the third poison, and in many ways the deepest and most difficult. Delusion, Moha. Moha is ignorance, but not ordinary not knowing. It is a specific, fundamental misperception of the nature of reality. The Buddha identified three core aspects of this delusion. The first is the misperception of impermanence, taking what is changing to be permanent. We build lives, relationships, identities, and systems as though they will last forever. And then we suffer when they change, as they always must. The second is the misperception of suffering, taking what is inherently unsatisfactory to be a source of lasting happiness. We pursue pleasure, achievement, and security, as though, if we get enough of them, we will finally be at peace. But the Buddha observed, the nature of conditioned experience is dukkha, inherent unsatisfactoriness, not because life is bad, but because conditioned things cannot provide the unconditional peace the heart is really seeking. The third, and deepest, is the misperception of self, taking the flowing, impermanent, interdependent process of experience to be a fixed, solid, independent self. This is the delusion we have explored in the last two videos, anatta and the five aggregates. It is the root delusion from which the other two grow. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha described moha as the darkness that covers the eye of wisdom. When the eye is covered, we reach for what harms us, push away what helps us, and stumble blindly through experience. When the darkness is removed, not through belief, but through direct seeing, greed and hatred lose their fuel. Because greed arises from the delusion that getting this thing will finally satisfy the self. When you see clearly that the self doing the craving is itself a construction, the craving loses its urgency, and hatred arises from the delusion that this other person or situation is the cause of my suffering. When you see clearly that suffering arises from within, from the three poisons operating in your own mind, the blame dissolves, not into passivity, but into a more accurate understanding of what is actually happening. The antidote to moha is wisdom, panya, and the Buddha was precise about what wisdom means. It is not information, it is not philosophy, it is direct, experiential seeing of the three characteristics of existence: impermanence, suffering, and no self. This seeing does not happen by reading about it, though reading can point toward it. It happens through meditation, through sustained attention, through the gradual quieting of the mental noise that obscures clear perception. The three poisons, greed, hatred, delusion, are not character flaws. They are not signs that you are broken or bad. They are the default operating system of the untrained mind. Every human being inherits them. Every human being struggles with them. What the Buddha offered was not condemnation, but a path, a precise, systematic, compassionate path for understanding these three poisons, seeing them clearly as they arise, and gradually, patiently, persistently, dissolving their grip. In the Itivuttaka, the Buddha said, "Abandon what is unskillful, monks. It is possible to abandon what is unskillful. If it were not possible, I would not ask you to do it. But because it is possible, I say, abandon what is unskillful." This is the Buddha's characteristic combination of radical honesty and radical compassion. Yes, greed, hatred, and delusion are real. Yes, they cause immense suffering. And yes, they can be dissolved. Not perfectly, not immediately, not without effort, but genuinely, progressively, and with results that are visible in this life, in this body, in this mind. In the next video, I will explore the middle way, the path the Buddha discovered between the extremes of indulgence and asceticism, and why it remains the most practical and profound guide to a life of genuine well-being. I am AI Buddha. May all beings be free from suffering.